Hey metalheads, this is Schmier, and you're listening to Sonic Perspectives, the best metal.
Hi everyone, it's Rodrigo here once again bringing you all the latest and greatest from the music world. Today I have the pleasure of catching up with Schmier from the iconic German thrashers Destruction. Schmier, thank you for joining us today.
Hey, Rodrigo, my pleasure.
Yeah, let's talk about the new album Born to Thrash, which was recently released. I believe you guys didn't exactly plan to release a live album at this point, but it came as a response to COVID-19, right?
Yeah, exactly. We didn't have a plan to do this. We basically got stranded at home. All shows got canceled, all festivals got canceled, and we said, hey, let's do something, let's do the best out of the situation. We were in the lucky position that we had recorded a festival last summer. Mm-hmm. It was a great show, and and we talked to the label, and we said, how can we do this best in those Corona times? And luckily the label agreed, and the fan reactions were great. I think for us as a band, it was a great idea to do this.
Yeah, and this is your first live album since 2010's Savage Symphony, I think. And I bet a lot has changed in your life set since then, right?
Yeah, I mean, also we have a new lineup. You know, we have two guitars again now, so the band sounds better than ever now. It was also an important thing to kind of, you know, introduce a new lineup, even if those guys played on the last album already. But on the live situation, you of course hear how the band really sounds, you know. So I think the fans appreciate this to hear the new lineup also in the kicking live situation.
Yeah, I think you said when the album came out, Born to Perish, that this is your strongest lineup ever. It's hard to disagree with that. Even on this album, it sounds crispy, heavy, and clear, especially the guitar tones on the drums, right?
Yeah, I mean, we thought about many years to get a second player in the band, but it had to be the right guy, you know. And with Damir, we found somebody that is a really crunchy rhythm guitar player and a fantastic solo lead player also. And he's a good friend of mine. So we're very lucky to have him. He really upgraded the band, and of course with Randy Black on the drums now, we have one of the iconic heavy metal drummers, and I'm a big fan of him, and it's very great to have him in the band. Of course, he's a friend of us for many years, and the lineup really crushes. And I'm looking forward to go back on the road, hopefully soon, and we can prove that.
Hopefully, yeah. And what changes for you in particular live when you play as a four-piece? Is the mix in your ears different because of that, or?
I mean, there's much more power, of course. You know, with two guitars, there's a different guitar power on stage, and also there's a more dynamical stage performance because you're more people on stage. You know, so yeah. So at the beginning, I was like a little curious how it's going to work, because Mike and me, we were a good team. We worked good together for a lot of years. And but Damir, he's a very well-experienced player, and he kind of fitted right in right away. So I think the band has like more action on stage now, also more power, and I only hear plus. You know, for me, of course, the bass player in me could say, "Oh my God, so much more guitars on stage! I can't hear my bass," you know. But I'm a heavy metal fan. I love guitars, so as much as I love my bass, but I love to hear the guitars, and to have such great players in the band is of course a privilege.
Yeah, I think bands are starting to realize that one guitar sometimes it's not enough to present that heaviness that they want. It came to mind as well that Rage, another German metal band, just added a new guitar player, right?
Yeah, I saw that. It's cool, you know. I mean, we all have experienced this Destruction being a three-piece now. And we have 37 years of career, and we had, I don't know, almost 30 years we've been a three-piece, you know. But the second guitar is definitely such a push, you know. We had this in the 80s already, so we knew what it would be, but it has to be the right guy. The problem about the second guitar is that a fourth member in the band brings a new dynamic also into the mindset of the band. Another person that has an opinion, another person that can fight, another person that can make trouble. In Germany we say, the less cooks, the better for the meal.
Absolutely, I can relate to that. Yeah. But I think you as a bass player and singer, you're able to control the low end with the bass and also the high end with your screams. It must give you a sense of control of what goes on stage, right?
Yeah, I mean, also we have no ego problems on stage. We want to make the band sound good. So that's something that usually works really well. That we are watching each other. If I see that the bass is really too loud, I don't want to crush my guitar player, and it's the same way around. We actually still a band that uses amplifiers on stage. We're a loud band.
Mhm.
Coming from the Motorhead times where you cranked up your backline and you didn't play with in-ear and bullshit like that.
Yeah.
So we still love it loud on stage, and sometimes you have to compromise. But we learned over the years how to do that.
Yeah. And how much post-production went into the live album? Is it the raw tape that you're releasing, or?
Yeah, I mean, basically, a friend of mine recorded it, and this was also more or less by accident because he wasn't supposed to record us, but he was there for some other bands to record, and he recorded our show as a favor. And we basically used his tapes and our house guy that we do the last production with, V.O. Pulver in Switzerland. He basically mixed the album, and it's a live album that we wanted to have rough and live sounding, not too polished. That was very important to catch the live atmosphere, to leave some edge. And it's not 100% perfect album, but it's tight enough. So I think I think sometimes when live albums sound too perfect and too flawless, then you can listen to a studio album.
Yeah, it loses the natural aspect of it for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I loved your most recent album, Born to Perish, but there are only 2 songs from it on Born to Thrash. Did you guys play more songs from it as the tour progressed or not?
Yeah, actually, at the moment we play four new songs. At the actual set list we play now. At the last tour, we had 4 new songs in the set list of Born to Perish. The day we played the festival was basically the day the album came out. So that's why we only played 2 songs, because at that time people only knew 2 songs from this album. So right. for me, it doesn't make much sense to play a lot of new songs when people don't know the songs, because then there will be not much of a reaction in the crowd. And when we recorded this live album, Born to Perish just came out the same day. And that's why there was only 2 songs in the set list, So at the moment we have 4. Sometimes we play 5 new songs. It depends on how long we play.
Well, please tell me you play Inspired by Death and Fatal Flight 17.
Of course, we play Inspired by Death, yeah. And Flight 17 we didn't play yet, no. But we played Butchered for Life, and we played Rotten also. And we're gonna experience some more live stuff. We try out some songs. Sometimes we see what works best in the live set.
Nice. And the show you're releasing was, of course, performed at the Party Sound Festival. Is there more material from the same show that didn't make the cut or not?
No, it was a 55-minute show. So we have the album is 54 minutes. So basically, it's all on there. It's basically Best of Destruction. It's a festival performance. If it would be a headlining show, of course, it would be maybe half an hour more of music. But it was a festival show, which is the plus of this is it's 55 minutes of pure energy, hit after hit. There's no fade in, fade out, no cuts. Nothing is cut together. It's a pure, honest show. Normally live albums nowadays, what everybody does is they cut different shows together, And then it's a best of from several shows. This is just one gig that makes this one special. Of course, if you would go deeper, you could say, I'm missing some songs, of course, because it's only 55 minutes. But this is a Corona product and not a planned live album. So we have to have some sacrifices,
Yeah, no, but you did make the best out of those 55 minutes. Absolutely, you did.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a pretty comprehensive set list, of course, with most of the hits, like you said. But what kind of process do you go through to put together a set list? Does everybody have a say in it, or do you dictate what goes on, or?
Basically, it's a mixture of experience, live tryouts that we always do. We always try a song, and then we see if it doesn't work, we kick it out again. When the crowd doesn't react, and that's just faces looking at us like, "What is this?" Then we kick the song out again.
Mm-hmm.
And also what we do frequently is we ask, when the new album came out, Born to Perish, we ask the fans, what are your favorite songs, of course. And we do the same thing also before we go on tour. We're like, hey, what is your favorite Destruction song that you want to hear live and stuff. So, and out of this, sometimes we pick songs that we didn't play for a while. And it's a good mixture of own interest, own experience, and what the fans want to hear.
Okay, but I don't think we can expect anything from the Neo Destruction period to be played, right?
Yeah, we call it Neo Destruction for a reason, because I'm not going to touch that shit. Sorry.
Okay. Makes sense. I'm not expecting that anyway. No.
Yeah, it's I had nothing to do with those years. I don't like the albums. I don't like the songs, and
yeah.
And for me, I always said that the band should have called this differently. It's not really Destruction. Yeah. I know it was Ollie and Mike in the band and with different musicians, but it didn't sound like Destruction. It didn't look like Destruction, and it didn't feel like Destruction. So I understand it's part of the biography and stuff, but for me, it was never a discussion to play anything out of this area.
Fair enough. And one video that has already been released is the Curse of the Gods. For me, a classic thrash song, one of the most identifiable thrash intros of all time. Would there be more releases, video releases from this album?
Yeah, we released Nails to the Cross. It was the second video.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that.
And then there will be Born to Perish, the title song from a new album coming next. I think it's coming, I think around the album release, about the 14th of July is the next video coming.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I know you spoke in German with the crowd during that show, obviously, because you're in Germany and you're German, of course. But I understood, I think, what you said just before Life Without Sense is that no matter if you like black metal, thrash metal, death metal, we're all brothers. And I think that's the spirit, right? There should be no attitude of what I like is better than what you like, that sort of thing.
Yeah, because when we started, there was no such thing as different genres. When we started, it was just heavy metal. Mm-hmm. And even thrash metal wasn't born back then when we started. Nobody called our music thrash metal at the beginning. There was this time in the 80s when all the journalists started to write for magazines that they started to categorize the bands. And then that's when all those cupboards opened up with heavy metal and poser metal and thrash metal and black metal came later and death metal. And now we have so many genres that sometimes it divides the scene a bit, And I think on festivals, most of the time, I see a lot of unity in the scene. I see a lot of fans that are hanging together, having different kinds of shirts, And also in the backstage area, all kinds of bands sit together and drink a beer. It doesn't matter what kind of music they play. But sometimes in the internet, you know how it is. In the internet, you see a lot of hate towards the genres. And I don't like that. I think we have the same background. It's one scene. We're all outsiders, musical-wise. We're not mainstream at all, and we should stick together. And that's a very important thing. And I experience this a lot also. But sometimes, as I said, in the internet especially, it's a little weird to see people fighting about bullshit like that.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah. One thing that caught my attention is the cover design, which shows a cartoon version of the band, and it's very different from your usual style. Who was the artist behind it?
As we were in Corona and everything was difficult, I asked my girlfriend to do the cover.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's an artist, and it's two artists also, and she did some album covers before, but not any other famous bands before. But she had certain experience, and I totally trusted her on this because I know how good she is. And the good thing was, we could avoid this to take too long, because I could just sit next to her and tell her what I want, and then she painted everything, and you could do the album cover in a really short amount of time, because usually when the artist is in Hungary or somewhere, then you have to write emails back and forth, and he maybe has some other deadlines, with other artists, so everything takes usually up to a month or so to finish an album cover. And this time we said, hey, we want to do this live album now. We want to release this as a physical in summer, but the audio, the streaming has to come soon. So we also need a cover soon, and that's how we did it. And I think she did a great job. And she was a little nervous, of course, because Destruction fans are, of course, very spoiled when it comes to album covers. But but the reactions were really good. So she was happy.
I liked it, but it's somewhat different from what we're used to, right? When I think of Destruction, the first thing that comes to mind is the raw style of like Mad Butcher, Release from Agony, etc. But it's a change in style. It's a great cover.
But if you go back in history, we have Live Without Sense as a live album also. That is also kind of a comic style cover,
Yeah.
So this is where the circle closes again,
Yeah, good point. Yeah. Well, speaking of Mad Butcher, there are several songs in your discovery which mention him, and on Born to Perish, you had also a song called Butcher for Life. I think there's tremendous potential for this character to be like Eddie from Iron Maiden or Vic from Megadeth. Did you guys ever think of making him a more prominent figure in the artwork, or even having like a concept linking him to one of the lyrics, for example?
The Butcher kind of became an icon because the fans liked it. They made him that,
Yeah.
So over the years, we started to pick it up again, and we did some stuff with the Butcher and Mort, but also we have had a lot of other good ideas, and we also have the Destruction Skull and other things that we had in mind as for album covers. So we didn't want to overdo the Mad Butcher thing and just that Destruction just identifies over the Mad Butcher, So there would be a little bit too narrow-minded for me. I think the Butcher is, of course, a big part of us, and we love it. And but also, I think we wouldn't use him on every cover, we used him in the past, and it's gonna for sure gonna happen that we bring him back, But not on every album cover. There would be too much of too much of the same thing. Yeah.
No, I understand. Yeah. By the way, on the topic of covers, I really like the cover of Born to Perish, which had like a bleak sort of look with just black, white, and red and gray. A lot of gray on that cover, and that freaky vulture. What exactly does that vulture allude to? I kind of think of the German eagle a little bit, but it's a spoof on that eagle, right?
Yeah. I mean, we wanted to have this kind of emblem kind of thing, like something coat of arms, something you would put on your back patch, or would put on as a tattoo, or in the army you have it on your army jacket. We wanted to have something like similar like this, but of course in the creepy way. And we're using the vulture instead of the eagle, Vulture stands for greed, and we put like two heads on the vulture for our human behavior, that we're two-faced, and that we're, the album cover reflects a little bit humanity, for us. If you look at all the details, and we wanted to have an easy cover this time, a cover that looks good from far away. That when you look closer, you still see the details. But we wanted to have this coat of arms kind of cover, something different this time. We did a lot of colorful covers in the past, and this time it was just the right album. We knew it's going to be an album that is more in the face, more brutal. There's going to be some changes also in the lineup. So we said also the cover has to fit into this whole change at the moment,
Right. Makes sense. And changing the subject a little bit, you guys brought a ray of hope for the metal community when an actual live Destruction show was finally booked for July in Switzerland. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Switzerland is one of the countries in Europe that had a very early lockdown and has very few corona cases only, and they are also a few weeks ahead of Europe in terms of life coming back. The lockdown was over weeks ago. Switzerland has no increase of corona. They have concerts and events already since 2 weeks.
Okay.
They've been ahead of everybody. So everybody's of course watching a little bit what Switzerland is doing at the moment. Same goes for Norway and Denmark also. Those countries are ahead of time and they don't have so much corona. And when we had the opportunity to play in Switzerland, because we live actually very close to Switzerland, and the club is very close. It's very close from our home also. So when we had the opportunity to play, I didn't really think much about it because it's a big honor to be able to basically reopen the season for concerts. And of course, there's a risk there, but this is government security concept. This is made with a lot of sense. It's the club is huge. The club holds 1,500 people. And they kind of make it a little smaller with a little, that it's they only sell 300 tickets for the show also. So people would have a lot of space, and this is about common sense. If you keep a little social distancing, if you want to wear a mask, you wear a mask. If you don't want to get too close to people, you don't have to get too close to people. This has a huge stage, big lights, it's a big show there. So people are going to have a full concert experience, and they can also feel safe about it. Of course, it's all up to common sense. It's like in real life too. If you want to be safe, just stay away from everybody. Don't get too close to people at the moment. We're still in the Corona times. But I think if we take care about this, it shouldn't be a problem. I think we have to move ahead at the moment, where it's important to make the first steps in the right direction. And if you don't take a little risk and do those steps, we will never get out of the cave again. It's important. Yeah. It's important now that we bring life back. It will take a long time to have life back in the normal way. So now it's important to make the first steps. And I'm proud to be one of the bands that are able to do it. And let's hope everything goes well. And then we know more in the future. I think Germany is also planning shows in August already, club shows, same concept, like 40% of the capacity, about like that, like approximately, and up to 500 people also.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the trend, at least until we find a vaccine. Places where there's less cases, we'll have shows with like a third of capacity or half capacity or something like that. Yeah, exactly. But it helps keep the industry alive, for the time being. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And of course, the problem about the smaller shows is, of course, that the economical situation is not so easy because you have costs and stuff. But I think if you manage to do 500 capacities, that's about the size where you can manage to have to make some money and pay all the costs. 300 is still 300 is difficult. That's very tight. But with 500, and of course it's going to make it difficult for the big bands. Let's say big bands, either they have to step down their game and say, hey, I play a club show, I don't care, I want to play. And there's the opportunity is also play the club twice. If you're if you think there's not enough people and you don't make enough money, then you can play twice. It's also possible. Yeah. So I think just if there's a will, there's a way. I mean, we have to go through this now. There will be new ideas, and instead of being afraid and being angry about the situation, it's better to be positive and to hope for new ways, and for smart people that find new ways, and I'm positive that we will find new ways.
Yeah, of course. And I think these first shows are going to be a cathartic experience for everybody, because I speaking for myself, I'm experienced concert withdrawal symptoms already. So thank you for doing that and for being pioneers in reopening the clubs.
All right, our pleasure.
Yeah. Last question for me. Before the COVID-19 took over, did you guys have anything planned for North America or not?
Yeah, October. We planned for October, and now we pushed back for February and March. Our agent right now is trying to set up the tour for February and March. I guess we will know in some weeks. We will know some more about it, because maybe we have to push back a little bit more depending on how things will go in America, But yeah, it's been, of course, a couple of tough weeks for everybody at the moment, because there's no real information. We had to cancel Asia and Australia and Japan, and Latin America is pushed back also, and North America. So it's the only tour we could postpone to a certain time was the European one that we could postpone to November and December, because we hopefully until then things will be solved. But who knows? We have to think in the future now. We already thinking about pushing back shows. Do you have to expect that? You have to expect that maybe in December the shows won't happen. Then we have to push them back to February or March. And the same goes for America. If you see it's not possible to do in February or March, then we have to push back a little bit further. So
I think it's hard to foresee anything at this stage. It's just a day-to-day basis that
you got to stay flexible, and you got to expect that it's going to be a little difficult, to confirm stuff, because a lot of promoters are insecure what's going on, and But hopefully, as soon as there's going to be the first steps made from concerts and stuff, I hope stuff will go further. And also, the more we know about the virus, worldwide, will improve. There was a lot of good news in the last weeks about the improvement of the therapy of treating the virus and stuff, and hopefully also one day the vaccine will come, and step by step. We're getting there, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Toronto, but what I heard is that Quebec is thinking now of allowing live shows once again. So I hope you guys can come to Canada soon enough.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, as I said, February, March is planned, and hopefully we can have some positive news that we can book those shows.
Hopefully. Well, Schmier, thank you so much for your time. All the best with the upcoming shows, and we'll keep in touch.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rodrigo.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Have a nice one. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Okay, everyone. Thank you for listening, and I hope you liked this chat with Schmier from Destruction. Don't forget that it's also available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. If you can, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to wrap this up with the iconic Curse the Gods from Destruction's new live album, Born to Thrash. Take care, stay safe, and see you next time.